So the idea behind this episode came from something I've been thinking about for a long time around music discovery. Now, I spend a bit of time in record stores, as you know, and when I go to a store, I generally just use my instincts to choose something based on artists that I already know or record labels. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But what I find is I keep gravitating towards the same kind of music. So in this episode, I thought I'd run a bit of an experiment. I downloaded 2 years of my Spotify listening data, fed it into AI, and asked it to generate my listening profile. Then I pointed it at a specific record store, All Night Flight Records in Stockport, where I am today. And I asked AI a very simple question. What records that are in stock in All Night Flight Records would I love? So the question that I'm trying to answer today is this a good way to discover new music? Does letting an algorithm look at your listening profile help finding new music that you like? Or does it miss something that only happens when you walk into the shop and trust your instincts? So I said at the start that I was going to use this approach to buy one record. That was my intention. So I chose All Night Flight Records for a couple of reasons. I really love this shop. It stocks genuinely eclectic records. You go in there, you're not quite sure what you're going to come out with. We featured the shop on an earlier episode where we talked about the notes they write on the front covers. Link in the show notes. But the main reason this shop works for this experiment is purely practical. It's because it lists all its stock online. A lot of independent shops don't do that. They just have a physical shop. Because All Night Flight Records does a significant amount of business online, all their stock is listed online. Now that matters because what I wanted AI to do was read every item that's available at the store and compare it to my taste. So I pointed AI at their website using a special browser plugin and had it systematically work through all items in their catalogue, all 1,631, artist name, album title, genre, price, you name it, all downloaded, ready for AI to use. Now that became one half of the database that AI was going to work from. The other half came from my Spotify listening data, and that's where it gets interesting. So Spotify lets you download your entire listening history from the beginning of time. You put a request in through the app, wait a week, and they'll email you the files. And the details are really interesting. It tells you about every track you've ever listened to, how long you've listened to them, how many times you've listened to them, when you listen to them, the artist you listen to, your favourite artist, the most played tracks, you name it, it's on the files. So that's step one. You get a file for each year. I chose to just pick the last 2 years, so this year and last year. And I did that because, my listening tastes change over time. Something I listened to 10 years ago, time's moved on. So I'm really after stuff that I'm enjoying at the moment. So I picked only the last 2 years. And what came back was quite interesting. There was a clear pattern of what I'm listening to at the moment. Mainly experimental music, a bit of post-punk and jazz across multiple genres. I guess artists that would be very difficult to categorize, which makes it even more of a challenge for AI. Anyway, that's the data I gave AI to work with. The challenge is that simply letting AI search through the shop for artists that you've already listened to doesn't find anything new. So I introduced another tool, Last.fm. Now this is a website that's been tracking millions of users' listening habits for over 20 years. And what AI can do is use my Spotify database, the shop's catalogue database and then compare my tastes and what's in the shop against adjacent artists and albums to find something it thinks I'm going to like. Yeah, so AI searched through those connections, looking for artists and albums that had a similar feel to what I've already listened to before, but something new. So I prompted AI to choose me 5 records, and it came back with 5 records. But they were all available on Spotify, which made me think, what's the point of that? Because Spotify already does a Discover Weekly, which uses its own algorithm to pick stuff that you might be interested in based on your listening. So I gave AI a little extra challenge. I asked it to find me choices that were not available on Spotify. Interesting. So I changed the brief for AI. I asked it to filter out anything that was available on Spotify and only recommend things that were exclusively available in physical form at All Night Flight Records. So here are the 5 records that AI landed on. Printed them out here. Really interesting set of choices. I've not heard of any of the artists, which is really what I wanted. So I'm going to take the list along and see what they can do at All Night Flight. I'm hoping they're all still in stock. I ran the algorithm this morning, so I'd be very unlucky if someone's bought these already. So I better get a move on.
Before I go in, I want to be honest about something. I really don't think AI can replace the experience of walking in to a record shop. Not even close. When you're in here, you're doing 100 things at once that no algorithm can replicate. You're looking at what the shop has chosen to put on the wall. You're picking things up because the sleeve art catches your eye. You might overhear a conversation or spot a note someone's left on the front of a record. All that is information. All of it shapes what you end up buying. And AI only knows what I've been streaming. It has no idea what I already own. It doesn't know what mood I'm in today. It can't see what's in the room. What it did was look at 2 years of my listening history, match it against 1,600 records, and give me a short list. That's going to be pretty useful, but it's a starting point, not an answer. Whether the records it's chosen actually feel right when I'm standing in front of them, that's the bit I'm about to find out.
So I've made it inside All Night Flight Records, and I've given the list of AI choices to Dean, who has kindly searched through the racks here and found them for me and laid them out in front of me. So here they are. So as you can see, we've got three of the items on vinyl, 2 on CD, and just like a lot of the items in this shop, they've got some fantastic covers. If that's anything to go on. I haven't heard of any of these artists. I can get a bit of a feel for what they are from the notes on the front, as we've discussed earlier. And they all look in great condition as well. Some of them new. It's going to be a very difficult decision on what to go for. They all sound really good, from what I can tell. Don't know what they sound like, literally, but the artists sound interesting. Well, it's decision time. Really difficult choice, but I've decided I'm going to buy, let me think, I don't know, I think I'm just going to buy Well, I've just come out of All Night Flight Records, and in the interests of research, I made a purchase. Surprise, surprise. My wallet is a lot lighter, and to be honest, I am a little nervous as to what AI has chosen me. Fortunately, I did get a bit of comfort in the shop from Dean. He seemed to think they were great choices. Well, let's just hope so. I'm going to go home now and find out what they sound like. So if you'd like to find out what I bought, whether I liked it, whether this whole experiment was a good idea, tune in for part 2 coming soon. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow. We've got loads of great stuff planned, and the more subscribers the better. And if you subscribe, you'll get a notification to say part 2 is out. So do it now. See you next time.